Hello everyone, welcome back to the Escentual Owl. I'm here today to make another cold processed soap. I will be making on January 2nd, which is today, a Valentine's Day soap. And the reason that I'm doing that, if you're a fellow soaper, you already know, but just in case you don't know, soapers have to be about a season ahead of everyone else. And that's because of the curing process of cold processed soaps. If I were to make a Valentine's Day soap around Valentine's Day, it would be around St. Patrick's Day before it was ready to sell. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way today. I've already heard Miss Beans outside squeaking the dog's new duck toy. I bought them that for Christmas because apparently I hate myself. So I apologize in advance. You're probably going to hear that little squeaky duck periodically throughout this video. So I've already got pretty much everything ready. I've got my lye solution here ready to go. I've got my colorants already measured out for the most part, except for the white portion of this soap. It's going to be a red, white, and pink soap, of course. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet or not, but I'm thinking of maybe doing a slight purple swirl just on the top. I know that purple is sometimes used for Valentine's Day things, not nearly as often as red, white, and pink, obviously. And then I will also be using some melt and pour embeds on the top. So I'm pretty excited. Let's see. Today I am using, let me grab the bottle, Nurture Soaps 1000 Kisses fragrance oil. This, I believe, is a Lush dupe. Yeah, I believe it's Lush. I know that they've recently changed the names of a lot of their dupe fragrances. I think this one is now called Harlequin Romance or something like that, but I bought this long enough ago that it still says 1000 Kisses on it. It's very nice, very romantic, perfumey, very feminine smell. And so I think it's perfect for Valentine's Day. For the colorants, I've already got some kaolin clay. Oh, there we go. I've already got some kaolin clay in my oils. I did not add too much because, as you can see, it's still the natural color of the oils in there, and that's because I did not want my base to be white, because if I were to make my base white, the red colorants would come out pink. That's not what I want. I want pink and red. Now, for the white portion, I will be using my handy dandy titanium dioxide. I don't know how I ever lived without it. For the red portion, I'm going to be using this Nurture Red mica. This is like a brick red, almost a pink. Almost a pinky, a dark pinky brick red. And just to lighten it up, to redden it up a little bit, I did add a little bit of the really red mica to that. For the pink, I'm using this Amaranth. Am I pronouncing that correctly? I don't know. Amaranth pink mica powder. I love this pink. I'm not a big fan of pink. And it is not like the, let's see, the Summer Crush mica, which is this one, the rose gold. This one is absolutely pink. It does have a little bit of a silver shift to it. It's very, very pretty. And I'm not a big pink sort of person, but I think it will go very nice with what I have planned. Before I get started, I just want to give all of my viewers a shout out and say thank you for your support so far. I greatly appreciate it. It means the world to me, and I really hope that you all enjoy these videos because I really enjoy making them. And also, I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and a fantastic New Year. I know that I had a pretty good holiday myself. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the soap making portion of this video, which is what you all came here for. Alright, so I reached the level of trace that I would like. I'm trying the extreme water discount again. I plan on doing a drop swirl for this, so if I don't get any sort of real swirly swirls at all, I'm okay with that. I'm just so obsessed with how quickly I can unmold and cut a soap with such an extreme water discount. I'm hooked, and I'm experimenting a little. I did add a little bit more water this time, so as you can see, it's much more fluid, but it's a medium light trace. But it's not an exact 1-to-1 ratio this time. It's very close. It's like 1.005 or something. I just want to experiment a little and see what exactly I can get away with, because that fast unmold and fast cut time, it's got me hooked. I just cannot get enough, you guys. Okay, so I'm going to pour out for my colors now. This is the pink. And then this is the red. Messy, messy, messy me. I can't do anything without making a mess. I think that it is just against my nature at this point to do anything without making a mess. Alright, I am going to hand mix these today, because if I hit it with a stick blender, I'm afraid it's going to thicken up like Blazzberry did. You all see what I'm doing? You can kind of see into this bowl a little. But I just scrape the sides, make sure it's all mixed in. You can kind of see where mica is kind of hanging onto the sides a little bit. And I scrape the bottom just to make sure everything is really good and incorporated. This is actually pretty fluid. I'm pretty happy with this. Blazzberry did thicken up quite a bit, so I'm wondering if it wasn't the fragrance that sped that up. Even though that fragrance did say it does not accelerate. And just because a fragrance says that it doesn't accelerate, or that it does, or that it rises, or whatever, does not 100% guarantee that it's going to behave that way in your soap. Because everyone's recipe is a little bit different. Everyone's house is a different temperature, etc., etc. Any number of factors can affect how a fragrance is going to act in your soap. So just keep that in mind when you're hunting for fragrances. Oh goodness, I'm not sure if I like how this red color is turning out. Then again, some colors, especially green, I've noticed, does morph in the soap. It will change into one color in your liquid soap batter, and then as it cures and saponifies, it will change back to the color that it's supposed to be. Green is notorious for that. I have seen greens turn a horrible, nasty, pea green, baby puke, pea soup color when they're supposed to be a bright, vivid green. And it's pretty funny. The first time it happened to me, I freaked out. But at that point, I had already mixed it in and there was no going back. So I went on with making my soap. And I was so surprised when I went back the next day and saw the color had changed back. And I did a little bit more reading on green in particular, on mica morphing, and it just turns out that sometimes some colors just do that. So this is the color that I have right now. I'm okay with it the more that I look at it. Can you all see? Is it being blurry? Anyway, I'm okay with that. It's not a completely brick red, but it's a dark, deep, romantic red. And then our pink turned out really nicely. It's a really pretty blushy pink. Now I'm going to mix in some titanium dioxide. I don't know why I took my stick blender apart. I should not have, because I will be stick blending this. It's kind of hard to hand mix titanium dioxide if you do not mix it in beforehand. It will be a little bit grainy if you don't. Oh, this is thickening up over here, this base color for some reason. Let me hit this really quick. Pretty good. Beans, what are you playing with out there? I think she's got a bone and she's playing with it on the hardwood floor. It's making all kinds of racket, so sorry about that. I'm actually off work really early today. For those of you that do not know, which is probably a majority of you, I do still have a full-time job right now because I'm an extremely part-time soaper right now. I would love to do this full time, but right now my shop is so small and I just don't have the sales, the income from soap to justify doing it full time. That is the goal. That is the goal. But we will see. We will see what happens. Okay, so we're ready to pour, and this actually thinned out quite a bit. It has gone pretty liquidy. Let me bring it up here so you all can see. It is pretty liquidy at this point. I think that it just sat there for a minute and thickened a little bit, which will happen. And then sometimes you'll go back in and mix it a little bit and it will thin back out, which is perfectly okay with me. I've got some oil spots on my table because of course I do. Oh goodness. You guys, I tell you what, Kenny, if you're watching, girl, I'm giving you a run for your money for messiest soaper, I think. I've had so many mishaps in every single batch of soap that I've made. I've either spilled an oil everywhere, or a mica, or a colorant, or earlier when I was putting my kaolin clay into my base oils, it went poof all over my workstation, and that's why you can kind of see these streaks here. It was not fun. All right, so let's get to pouring. Let me give these a stir really fast, make sure they stay nice and fluid. And yes, I am blaming the black raspberry fragrance oil on the acceleration of the last batch, because this is now 2 out of 3 batches where I have done almost as little water as I possibly can in a recipe, and it has stayed amazingly fluid. So for example, if my recipe called for 5 ounces of lye, I only used 5 ounces of water. So that's quite a bit of a water discount. All right, so let me see. How will you all see this best? Maybe if I do it from this side, or would it be better for you all this way? Nah, let's do it this way. What do you all think? You all tell me in the comments below, do you like it when I have the mold this way, where you can't quite see the bottom, but it's a little bit easier to see me pour? Or do you like it this way, where you can see all the way into the bottom, but you might not necessarily be able to see me pour all the way, just because of me getting in the way? All right, here we go. I'm going to start with a little bit of white in the bottom, not a whole lot. Just a little to give us something to start with. And of course, I put that spatula right on that spout and got it all over my glove. Let's see, what color do I want to do next? Let's go from lightest to darkest. Why not? Okay, so now I'm going to go in and swirl some of this pink in. Swirly, swirly, swirly. Okay. And now, our lovely, deep, dark blood red. Swirly, swirly. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with a lot of white. Swirl that all together. This looks a whole lot like my candy cane soap, but hopefully it will be different enough by the time I'm done. Okay, let's pour in the rest of our pink. Pour it high, kind of let that sink down in there. And our red. Whoa. That was close. That almost didn't make it into the mold. There's no rhyme or reason to how I'm pouring here, just a random drop swirl. And then we will fill up the rest of the way with our scrapes out of our bowl here. I don't know if I'm going to go in with purple or not, you guys. I'm not sure that it would really fit the theme here, especially once you see the embeds I'm going to go with. Oops, see, you guys, I'm making a mess. Okay, so that is pretty much all I'm gonna get for this white, because I spilled half of it. Let's push you back in there. And then let's go back in. Now let me scrape this down a little. Okay. And then this red. Why not? There we go, making messes again. That's all right. That's all right. Let me scrape a little bit of this pink out here, so I can maybe swirl the top a little. before I put the embeds on, so that the embeds have a nice background to work with. And because the soap is so fluid, I'm gonna have to wait just a little bit. I mean, it might only take 5 minutes or so to actually put the embeds on, or else they will sink, which I don't want because I want them to stay where I put them. Since they are melt and pour, you can't cut them the way that you can cold process soap, because it hardens way too fast. It's too rigid, and my little cheese cutter, regular soap cutters, they will not go through melt and pour soap. I mean, they will, but it's highly, highly, highly advised against, because you run the risk of breaking your soap cutter. And if you have a real one, you know that that is not cheap. There are some cheaper soap cutters out there, but most of them are handmade or sold by a soap supplier, and so they are not cheap. Alright, I'm going to kind of jiggle this just a little, make sure it's in all the nooks and crannies there. And then I'm just going to clean up, I'm not going to clean up my edges yet. I think I want to let it, well, never mind. Maybe I should go on and clean up some of it at least. It's so fluid, I'm kind of afraid to disturb it because I don't want it to spill over the edges. Even more than it has. So, how did everyone's holiday go? Mine went okay. In between Christmas and New Year, I had to take my oldest dog, King, K-I-N-G. I know my accent makes it a little bit difficult to understand his name sometimes. I had to take King, or actually my husband had to take King. He is a 7-year-old Shih Tzu. I will insert a picture somewhere around here. He had to go to the vet because I won't go into too many details, but he was having a personal issue in his tail area, and it was not very nice, you guys. If you have dogs, you have to be aware that sometimes they're a little bit gross. Just like if you have kids, which I do not, but I have plenty of friends who do. And I also have a 7-month-old niece. Sometimes kids are also gross. It is just a fact of life. I'm now going to go in and swirl the top a little bit using this pipette while I talk. Anyway, it is just a fact of life that sometimes kids are gross. Sometimes pets are gross. Ooh, you guys see this thickening up already? Yeah. Anyway, sometimes kids and pets are gross, and that's just the way of things. It's just how it is sometimes. But he is on an antibiotic, and also it's a pain pill technically, but the way that my vet, or the way that the vet explained it to my husband is it's basically just a doggy ibuprofen. So not a serious pain pill, but that was an experience that I do not wish to repeat. Ever. It was messy. It was nasty. It was not a fun night when I came home from work and noticed his issue. And it was so strange because he went from acting like he just wasn't feeling his best, which sometimes he does. And that being said, sometimes he's just a little grumpy old man and just don't want to be bothered. But he went from not feeling super great the previous day to just complete deterioration the very next afternoon. And I come home on my lunch break almost every single day from work. So it was quite a shock, the difference in his overall health from the time that I left work or left the house to go back to work for my lunch break. Because of course I check on them and let them run around for a little bit in the house. Because most of the day they're behind a baby gate so that they can't get into stuff that they're not supposed to when we're not around. They do have a dog door. Oh my goodness. I just slung that somewhere and I have no idea where it went. All right. Anyway, before I left for work from lunch, he was totally fine. When I left that morning, he was totally fine. And when I came home for the final time at the end of the day, he was disgusting. I had to immediately throw him in the bath. There was a lot of unhappy thoughts that were had. And it was pretty clear to me pretty fast that he needed to be taken to a vet as soon as the availability of one arose, which happened to be the next day. I had to work. My husband did not. So thankfully, my husband did take him and had that taken care of. But that was this past Friday? Yeah, this past Friday, right between New Year and Christmas, basically. But I am happy to report he is feeling much better. He is back to his normal grumpy, we call him our old man dog because he is quite grumpy. He's back to being his normal grumpy, somewhat playful self. Oh my goodness, you guys, I cannot get this into a mold to save my life. Look at this. I don't know why I bother. I tried to use this easy pour spout and it might be easy for some people, but it clearly is not easy for all of us. Or maybe it's just me. And I'm only getting about half an owl out of this. I shouldn't have really even bothered with that because now I get to clean it up. Oh boy. Okay, so now that is all cleaned up for the most part, and my bowls are all scraped out, and I've got my swirl going on the top. Now I have to let it sit. I jiggled it a little bit. It's not quite ready to have the embeds on top, in my opinion. I can't wait too much longer, literally just a few minutes. But before we do that, let's bring you in for a close-up. Here's what we've got going. It's kind of hard to see any of the pink. It just you can kind of see some in this area. Whoa, there we go. In this area up here. But I think it's very nice. It's a very pretty swirl. I could leave it this way, but I've already made my embeds and I already had a plan for this soap. So, you know what? Why not? If the pink doesn't show up very well inside the soap, which I hope it does because it's a very nice pink, then I will know better for next year. If this soap does well enough to remake it next year. So, let's take a quick break. For you all, it will just be a couple of seconds thanks to the magic of editing, but I will be right back to show you all the embeds. Okay, everyone, I'm back. It's literally been about 3 minutes. I just got nervous because I know how fast this soap sets up when I do these extreme water discounts, and I didn't want it to get too thick on me, but if you can see, when I push it in like that, there's almost no movement. If I it's going to shake the camera a little, but if I jiggle it like that, it only barely jiggles. So I'm going to go on with it. These are the embeds that I made earlier today. These adorable little hearts. And I used a silicone mold for these that I believe I got off of Amazon. If I recall correctly, I actually bought it probably last September or so and haven't got the chance to use it, but they're so, whoa, I almost dropped it. They're so cute. These little reddish pink hearts. I just love them. I think they're so cute. And they do have an ugly side. That's the top side. So that part will go down into the soap. And you may have noticed that I have myself some lines here. And I'm going to be placing these in between the lines to make sure that the wire is not going to cut through any of these. Because if that happens, I'm going to be in trouble because I'm going to break a wire. And I can't really replace them right now. So, or at least I don't want to replace them right now, I should say. Sorry, you guys. I'm trying to get the lighting a little bit better. Now, I am going to be doing this free-handed. Please do not do this. The only reason I'm doing it is because I have very small hands, and the one size fits most gloves that I got are too big for me. There's about that much slack in the tip of the finger, and if I have gloves on when I do this, my glove is going to dip down into the soap and it's going to ruin it. So I do not want to chance doing that. Now, these were supposed to be red, and when I say red, I mean truly red, like the really red mica. But my melt and pour base, the only one that I had left, was a white goat's milk base. So I tried to get them as red as I could without going overboard, and this is what we ended up with. So I apologize if the video is dark. It looks like it's going to be a little bit dark. And I don't know if I want to do, I'm just going to do a little bit of measuring here. I don't know if I want to do 3 or 4 hearts on top. 4 will fit, but I don't want it to look too overdone. So what I may do is put 4 on one and see how I like it and decide from there. I'm very nervous about doing this. I hate doing this without gloves on. Okay, so there's one. And I'm just going to place them for now. I will push them down inside. Let's do 3 on this bar and see what it looks like. Because these are so tall, they're tiny, but they're very long. They're very tall, so I don't want to leave them like that. I will push them down inside the soap. I made enough to put 4 on every bar, but I don't think I'm going to do 4. I kind of like the way that 3 looks. If I do 4, you're not going to be able to see much of the swirl that I did. So, am I getting inside my lines? Yeah. I think I'm alright. And now that you all have seen me place a couple of these, I will speed this up because I know that part is boring and pretty repetitive. So, let me go on and do that for you guys. I will finish this up and push all the embeds down in the soap, and then we will come in for a close-up. Have it. There is the Valentine's Day soap that I just made with all the little embeds in place. It did kind of create a little bit of a almost hilly effect on the top, which I don't mind, and I hope anyone that would buy it or that would be interested in buying it wouldn't mind either. It's my first time using these embeds, and I think if I had not waited quite as long, or it could just be because this soap set up so incredibly fast. It always does with these water discounts. If it was a slight bit more fluid, it wouldn't have done that. But I'm very pleased with it. Let's turn it this way so you all can see the hearts. They're so cute. I love them. I love them, I love them, I love them. I decided not to use any glitter on this one, just because I try not to use too much glitter in any of my soaps or on any of my soaps. Not everyone likes the glitter, and the eco glitters, as far as I can find them anyway, they don't always come in all the colors that you may want. So there's also that to consider. I don't have a name for this soap yet. By the time I upload the video, I probably will, but anyway, that is all that I have for you all today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss any of my future uploads, leave me a comment, tell me what you think, what you thought of this, and that's all that I have for you all for now. So I will bring you back for the cut in about 2 to 3 hours. Bye-bye.